All right, going live in three, two, one. Well, this is No Limits with Amanda. This is episode number 4. How are you doing, Amanda?
I'm doing really well. It's been a crazy busy week this week.
Oh,
Um,
yeah? What's been going on?
yeah, so Monday I filmed a short independent film, which I'm really excited about. It's going to be in the New Jersey Film Festival. It's a bunch of silent short movies with the main character. His name is Tuddy. So it's like based in the 19 I think 20s or 30s, and Tuddy is a bathing suit inspector for women. And it reminds me of like the Charlie Chaplin era comedies where there's a lot of physical comedy. So it was a lot of fun to be back on a film set.
It's interesting. Now, is as far as it being silent, did you do it in black and white as well?
Yes, it will. It was filmed in black and white, and they also have the ability to speed up the camera the way that the old silent films were done. So once it's complete, I will definitely share the links with you so that if everybody here wants to check it out with us, we totally can do that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, give me the links. I'll add them to this video, and we can add them to the future videos as well. So that'd be cool. The now as far as you saying speeding it up, so how many frames per second were they running on this?
Oh, I don't know. That's when you lost me. I don't know the technical stuff because when I'm performing, it's all about, being in front of the camera. So the behind the camera stuff, I'm not that good with yet.
Oh, okay. Well, the I do know in the United States, the average frame rate for films is 24 frames per second. So, but when you're talking about older black and white, like especially at the turn of the century, like the early 1900s, there is no actual frame rate that you can actually lock in, because what happened during that time period when they were still developing moving camera or movies, the person who was doing the movie would actually operate the film the camera by hand. So you can't get an accurate frame rate on those. It's based on how whatever speed the person was cranking the film at through the camera at the time. So since that time, everything's been regulated. They got, everything is, when you run I don't know when I think by the night, definitely by the 20s and 30s, I think it was more established what the frame rates would be. But those early films that when you try to watch them, sometimes they speed up and slow down. It's because the person was hand cranking it the whole time.
That's so interesting. Is this something that you studied in school, or is it just like you have like all this interesting knowledge in your head?
Just trivia stuff. Just trivia. It was based on actually it was based on a film from 1906 that showed San Francisco prior to the great earthquake. That it was the film was taken shortly before the earthquake occurred, and there was a restoration of that film. And in that the making of that, they actually described what they were doing in that film. That basically they took a camera and went on a trolley car. And as they went down, what's the one of the famous streets in San Francisco? Do you know? Are you familiar with San Francisco?
No, not really. I just know the trolley cars and the San Francisco treat rice-a-roni. That's all I know.
And you call it, let me step on that. You call them trolley cars, right? I call them trolley cars too, right? That's what everyone calls them, aren't, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, because I made a video. I'm getting slightly off topic. I made a video of several years ago where I said I was showing how to get onto the trolley car in one of the video games I had, and I got several comments from people saying, "Why are you calling it a trolley? It's a tram." And I was like, because that's what they call it here. And I guess I assume that they were from another country, because several people said a trolley is actually what you have in a supermarket when you push your shopping cart. I guess that's what they refer to as a shopping cart, is a trolley. So
Oh, I never heard of that. Is that like a British thing?
I don't know. The people who left the comments didn't say where they were from, but I got several of them, and they were so confused as to why I called it a trolley car. It's like, yeah, it's a trolley. And
Mm.
so it was anyway. I just want to make sure I wasn't crazy, because I always thought ever since then I'm like, wait a minute, we do call it trolleys here in this country, right? And I just want to make sure that I was on cue with that. So
No, you're definitely right. Absolutely.
let me see. I can think I can bring this up. Give me a second. I'm going to show you the film I was talking about. I don't think we'll get a copyright on this one because it's so old. I believe it's in the public domain. Give me a second here. You'll see what I'm talking about. It's a really um, is a really cool looking. Hold on a second. Image. I'm just trying to find it here. Give me a second here. Okay, here we go. Gotta be careful because there's some music on this that we don't want to get a copyright on that. Okay, here we go. I'll bring this up. Okay, here we go. So this is the film from 1906, and I'm gonna play a little bit of it. I'll put it in a full screen mode. So this is what oh, hold on, I gotta hit the. Sorry, I gotta mute that. That music is copyrighted. The music is not. The music is actually more modern. It's whoever made this video took what they do is they took the actual film from 1906, and what they do is they mixed it with more modern music, and it's really cool. I would highly recommend this video to watch, just because of that. Watching an older music with modern music just really changed the feel of the whole thing. It was really cool. But like I said, I don't want to get a copyright on the music, so. But this is basically it. You can see that they're on a trolley car, and when they made this, the guy who's filming this is actually hand cranking the film. He's actually imagine like he's going like a crank round and round and round as they're going down. As he's actually that's how he's capturing the images there. So
That's incredible. You know what I think about? I think about the weirdest things sometimes when you see things like when you speak about the idea of somebody hand cranking the film. Do they need to switch off because does his arm start to get weak?
it's a, I mean, it's like I wonder if he's like if they have like a tag team, like they have another person that comes in and takes over, or maybe he just cranks it with his other arm. And how would they do that if, especially since I mean, you don't want the film to stop, obviously. So you'd have to like if you had two people there, you'd have to have one person like cranking, and they'd have to crank simultaneously so that the film wouldn't stop for like a split second while they transfer over. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I wouldn't even have thought about that. Yeah, I thought because it would stop. And I'm sure that they didn't have editing at that time, right? Like it was kind of like what you see is what you get, no?
I guess, yeah. Well, Birth of a Nation came out around this time. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that movie. Birth of a Nation is one of the most revolutionary at the time. Was had a lot of at the time very revolutionary editing techniques, and I think that came out actually. I think that came out in 1912. And unfortunately, it's a very racist movie. I that's the only drawback. It's extremely racist. But the movie itself technically was very there were so many editing techniques that had never been seen before that we just take for granted nowadays. It's if you can overlook the racist part of it, the technical aspect of it is really interesting because you'll see like a shot where the person walks off camera and then it switches around and you'll see the other angle they're walking away from the camera. We just take that for granted, but back then that was unheard of. So that was really new for that time. But this was at the time. I think they did have editing for this, but I don't think they would do that for this. I think this was just a straight shot. So, Mark,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Yeah, it's just it's incredible when you think back to movies like this, like in 1908, where like exactly the point that you made, that we really do take so much of our like cinematography so for granted completely. Like the things that we can do right now with computer generated, graphics and images and like I feel like I guess we like don't have gratitude for the things that we have the ability to see now. And like
Mhm.
when you're pulled back to this and the idea of filming in a completely different way, it makes you realize how far, the art has really come.
Mhm. By the way, it's Market Street. By the way, I just remembered it was Market Street. So
Okay.
yeah. There is another film that actually they did the same thing after the earthquake took place, which was like I said, I think it was only a few days after this film was made, and you can see the devastation. It's horrific. You see people, buildings are toppled over. It's really people are trying to survive. It's not during the earthquake, obviously, but people are trying to, make survive after the fact. That is so, but this film itself, if these cars, if each of those cars just to give you an idea, every time these cars drive by like that, they were doing that on purpose. What they were doing is they were trying to they paid these people to actually drive their cars in front of the trolley while they were filming. just in case you're wondering. So that's not accidental. They're purposely driving in front of it like that. So
Oh, okay. Very
yeah,
cool.
yeah. And one of the other things is I'm not sure about the wagons, but this video is not very clean, but they have a cleaner version of it. They can actually read the tag numbers on them, and they are actually able to see. You can see the tag numbers repeat after over every so often. So, but anyway, I thought I'd show that to you. Anyway, I'll put the link for that video so if people want to watch it. It's really good. It's about 7 minutes long.
Yeah, I actually wanna watch it, especially being that you said it was, they added modern, music to it. And I love the idea of them completely changing, like, the feeling of it by doing that.
Mhm. Oh, and, let me bring that up for a second. If you the title of the song is called Air La Femme d'Argent, but that's that right there, what I'm highlighting right there, that's the actual name of the song. But yeah, I can say I'll post the link in the description below so people can look at it, and I'll send you the link as well so you can watch it. So,
Amazing. Thank you.
alright. So, let's take a look at our question from last week. I'll go ahead and bring that up. What has gotten in your way of achieving a goal in your life? And we got a decent response here. Hold on a second. There we go. Bring it up. So 1,900 votes so far. Overwhelmingly, fear of failure at 71%. Next down, 13% with not having enough money. Let's see, 6% tied with fear of judgment, and another with nothing has stopped me. And 5% with none of the above. Write your own response. What do you think about that?
Oh, I'm excited to see I'm amazed at the fear of failure. Like, I guess I'm not amazed because it makes sense that a lot of us are afraid of failing, so why even bother in the first place,
Mhm.
right? But I'm pretty amazed at not having enough money. That's
Oh,
interesting.
yeah, 13%. That's
Mhm.
interesting. That is relatively high there for that question. Oh, by the way, recently somebody on another show pointed out if you add up the percentages, 71%, they don't always add up to 100%. I thought that was kind of funny. And my guess is that they probably take each percentage and round each one up. So if you add all these up, let's see, it's probably every time I've done it, it's usually come up to about 101%. So I assume that they're just rounding each of the percentages up individually, and that's why it's doing that.
Makes sense.
I'll go ahead and reverse. I'll put these in the newest first. The biggest fear, I'm sorry, what's gotten in the way of achieving your goal in life would be school. Well, that's interesting.
Hmm.
Laziness, next one. Kiss Best Fan, who is a regular contributor, said, "My life goal is to go to heaven after death. I hope I will eventually manage this." See. Laziness and lack of patience. It's laziness again. Another lazy. I'm lazy. I've achieved enough. The government can just take it all away anyway. Look at Australia. Let's see. Kind of scared of getting a job because I'm not good at dealing with people. I'm 22, but I'll try to conquer my fear. Hmm. Afraid to get a job. Uh, I got my first job. I mean, if you count a paper route, I was like, I don't know, like 11 years old, I guess. But my first job, aside from a paper route, I was 16 years old. I was working at an after school job. I was working on cars, and then that's I think I told you for the first 5 years after I graduated high school, that's all I did was work on cars. So, but I don't remember being afraid of getting a job.
Me either. I couldn't wait to get a job. I remember, like, we had to get our working papers in order to work when you were even younger, and I remember, like, when I was 14 years old, I was answering phones for a woman at her financing company, and then when I was 16, like you, I didn't work on cars, but I worked an after school job. I worked at an ice cream parlor.
Oh, wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, it was fun, just my boss was a jerk. What are you gonna do?
That was it 31 flavors?
No, it wasn't. It was, a local, ice cream shop. They have 3 locations. Now they just opened 4 on Staten Island where I am. It's called Eggers.
Oh, Eggers. Okay. I
So it was
think I've
like
heard
an
of it.
old-fashioned ice cream parlor with, like, the old-fashioned, shake makers, like the old-fashioned, you put them in the wall. We handmade our own whipped cream. So it was very, very old school.
Wow. Now, being from, are you from New York? By the way, I forget. I don't remember. Are you raised in that area, or where are you from?
Yeah, so I grew up in Staten Island, which is one of the boroughs. It is New York. It's New York City.
Okay. So you'd be familiar with Carvel then, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Do you remember the old Cookie Puss commercials?
Yes. Oh my goodness. Was Cookie Puss the one that had the cone nose, or is that another one?
Here it is right here. I'll bring it up. Here it is right here. There you go.
Yep, cone for the nose. There it is.
Yeah, Carvel was very popular in the DC area and in New York too, because my dad is from Long Island. So the
Okay.
so we would I remember Carvel being everywhere. We used to go to Carvel and we'd visit my grandparents, and we'd have it around when I was a kid as well. So,
Yeah.
but I
Wow.
remember,
I'm sorry.
no, go
We
ahead. Go ahead. No,
we
it's
used
fine.
to drive down to Maryland to visit my aunt, and the TCBY was everywhere.
TCBY. That sounds familiar.
Yes,
Um,
it was frozen yogurt. It was a frozen yogurt place.
oh, okay, yeah. I barely know about that. I know of it. I just once you said yogurt, it kind of clicked in. But yeah, I don't think I've been to one of those. I'm not sure. And maybe I haven't. I just forgot. So is it good?
Oh my goodness. You know what? I grew up on frozen yogurt because my mother loved it so much. So yeah, it was really good.
I can tell you right now that I'll bring this back over here. The my parents used to get frozen yogurts at the grocery store, and I hated it. So I don't know. I assume that where you were getting it was not obviously not the stuff from the supermarket. So hopefully it was a lot better than what I tasted. I just couldn't stand the stuff. I just wanted regular ice cream at that point. So um,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing like real ice cream, but I don't know. I guess I got used to the flavor of frozen yogurt, and now when recently I think I might have told I well, actually when we were first started communicating, I was down in Delaware, and we found this place on the boardwalk that had amazing frozen yogurt. It tasted like ice cream. It was so good.
oh, I'm not saying. Yeah, I want you to know. I'm not saying. I would definitely give frozen yogurt a chance as long as it wasn't from the supermarket. So
Fair enough.
let's see. Next one down. I guess just not enough money and freedom. Hmm. What
Hmm.
freedom? I wonder what he means by freedom exactly. So, social anxiety. I've had that sometimes a little bit when I was younger, not so much anymore. Uh,
Mhm.
fear of failure. Morons always intervening and interfering with my life.
Hmm.
Let's see. Fear of failure again. And Sandy Mohanar, another regular contributor, says fear of failure. Learn from our weak point and achieve success. Yes. If you, I always, I'm sure this is a common thing that people know. When you have, the only way, the best way to succeed is to fail. That way you don't learn how to, what you not learn what not to do again. Basically.
Yeah, that's a great way to look at it. So use it as a lesson, not as something like a negative. Use it to flip it into a positive. Like I have a sign, I think I might have said this last week, 2 weeks ago. I have a sign over my door that says, "Don't be afraid to fail, be afraid not to try."
Yes. Yes, you did say that. Yes, I remember. That's a good one. I like that. So,
Mhm.
so who said that?
I don't know. It's not, there's no person, it's not given to anybody.
Oh,
I can look it up.
that's cool. I was just, yeah, if you want to, you don't have to. I was just curious. It was somebody, it was like some famous person that said that. So,
Does sound like a famous person said it.
all right. So, do you have a question for our viewers this week?
I have no, I'm stumped this week. That was a good one last week.
Yeah. See, we can make something simple. Something to do with ice cream, maybe, or would you like,
Oh yeah. Let's do people's favorite flavors. What do you think?
or we could throw in there frozen yogurt too.
Okay.
How about something to the effect, do you like ice cream or frozen yogurt better, or something like that? And then we can add in there if you what's your favorite flavor, and we can have them put that in the comments below. How's that? Something like that? Would that work?
I think that sounds perfect.
Okay, cool.
So it was Michael Jordan who said it, actually.
Oh, interesting. Oh, okay.
Look at what he accomplished in his career. So
Yeah.
speaks volumes. Didn't Michael Jordan also play baseball for a while?
Oh, I'm not sure. I always think of basketball when I hear his name, but I'm not a sports person, so I don't know. You're asking the wrong person.
Let's see.
Frozen yogurt. You know,
Yeah,
if
he
you have
played.
something if you have something you want to share on the screen, you can bring it up, by the way. If you want to show everybody. It's up to you if you want to do that.
Oh, sure. But it says that he did play in the Chicago White Sox minor league.
Oh, did he? Oh,
Yeah,
wow. Minor league though, but it was okay. What still that's interesting.
it is
Yo-
interesting.
Frozen yogurt. Yogurt. Okay. Do you like ice
Yep,
cream?
you got it.
Feeling better. Okay. And we'll put another question. What's your favorite? What is your favorite flavor? Favorite flavor. So the L out. We'll put leave a comment. Okay. So we'll put what kind of responses? I obviously we'll put ice cream and frozen yogurt. We can add some other responses as well. Let's see, ice cream, frozen. What would your response be?
I actually like frozen yogurt better.
Ah. What's your favorite
Um,
flavor?
I hmm, hmm. I have to think about that one. I'm like a I love pistachio. I like vanilla too. I'm boring and chocolate. But I love like getting a really good plain vanilla, like the soft serve frozen yogurt with sprinkles. So we
Oh,
have to ask if people like toppings too, I think.
okay. Favorite flavor. Let's see. Uh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we can. How should we say? What is your favorite flavor? And how would we fit? And how should we phrase that last part? Like,
I guess we should ask if they need toppings. Like, do you like your ice cream plain or do you need toppings?
okay,
And what's your favorite then?
ice cream plain or like toppings. Is that good?
Yeah, but you didn't write plain.
Oh. I'm doing that again. Sorry. I'm hearing the word in my head, but I'm not actually typing it out. Sorry.
I do that too. It happens.
I don't know if I said this, but when I was teaching my students, when I'd hand out a test, I do the exact same thing. And the students would look up to me and say, well, there's a missing word here. And I was like, oh, yeah, I knew it was supposed to be there. I just forgot to do that. It happened on almost not every test, but on every few tests. There'd be like at least one question that was like that. So,
That's when your brain goes quicker than your hands. Is that what happens? So you're already
yeah.
on to the next thing.
I will say when it comes to ice cream, chocolate is my favorite. There was another one I used to eat a lot at the Giant. We had Giant Food. They had the ice cream they had there was called Super G. It was a store brand ice cream, and I used to I can't remember what it was called. It wasn't chocolate; it was something else. I used to eat that a lot. It might have been almond or something. I do know when I was a kid, my parents would get the three flavored like gallon size of ice cream, and it would be strawberry, vanilla, and chocolate. You know what I'm talking? You ever seen those? I'm sure you've seen those.
Yep, is it called Neapolitan?
Is that what it's called? I don't remember what it's called. I just remember seeing it, like, you'd open it up and it'd be 3 sections there. And I remember the chocolate would go fast, the vanilla would go after that, and the strawberry would never get eaten. So
It's so funny.
it's, like, kinda pointless to get, one of those. We should've just gotten, like, all chocolate or all vanilla or something, you know?
Yeah, I love that it goes that way, that, like, people buy it and you would think they would be eating all 3 flavors together, but they don't. They never do. I feel
Yeah.
like because my parents would buy it and my brother and my parents would eat it, and they would do the same thing.
And I can't stand strawberry ice cream. It's just something I can't stand. I don't think my family liked it that much either, obviously, so And I'm not a big fan of vanilla too much. When I was younger, I liked vanilla. Then I switched when I got older. I switched over to chocolate. So,
And you know what? That's funny. I'm opposite. I loved chocolate when I was little, and now I like vanilla more. That's
oh,
interesting.
that is
The
interesting. Yeah. You
flavors
ever
taste so.
try Ben and Jerry's?
Oh yeah, there. My father was obsessed with the Ben and Jerry's double chocolate New York chocolate fudge chunk. It was called. That was like favorite flavor.
Yeah, I remember getting that when I used to work at a place, a radio brokerage service called Radio America. It was a very small outlet that would they could where you could pay to put your radio show on satellite feed. And I worked there for about 2.5 years. There was a drugstore in the lobby of the building, and they had it was a very small drugstore, but they had always had a huge supply of Ben and Jerry's ice cream for some reason. So and every day I would walk in with to get chicken and a little pint size of Ben and Jerry's, and it was the chocolate. The one you just mentioned was the one that was always there. I would get that more often than the others. So,
That's so funny because when we would go to the store, we'd always have to dig for that flavor for my father.
oh really? That is funny.
Yeah. I guess it was more popular by you. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Do you like toppings on your ice cream or you like your ice cream plain?
Hmm. I guess it depends on the toppings. I don't really. I wouldn't go. I'll put it this way. I wouldn't go out of my way to put toppings on them, but I don't want toppings that would be like I don't know if anything weird like say fruits or vegetables or something like that. It'd have to be something that would be probably more sweet, little uh, what's the word? Like I don't know, little candy things or something would be fine maybe, but nothing natural, I guess.
Got it. So like you don't like bananas or strawberries on your ice cream, you like sprinkles.
Yeah, sprinkle. That's where that's a good word. Yeah, yeah. I'd say, but I wouldn't go out of my way to put sprinkles on them either. So I could probably take it or leave it.
Got it.
Yeah, I would definitely wouldn't want strawberries or bananas. That would just turn me off. The other thing, getting slightly off topic, um, is when it came to donuts. I remember like when I was at work, somebody would say, "Would you like everyone want to chip in to get some donuts?" And the one thing I always told everybody is, please make sure you get donuts that have holes in them because I hate donuts that don't have holes that are they're packed with like cream and other stuff, and I hate those donuts. I've always hated those donuts. I always said, make sure you please get donuts that have holes. Those are the only ones I eat. I don't like stuff in my donuts.
That's fair. It's very fair. So you're not a Boston cream donut kind of person.
No, I don't. No, I can't stand that stuff. And it's kind of like we were saying, like talking about the toppings or something at it. It's just like, just leave that stuff out of there. I just want my regular donuts. I'll take sprinkles on a donut though. Sprinkles are cool on a donut. So,
Yeah, I like that too, actually.
okay.
Mhm.
So let's see what other responses we could put on there. Maybe I don't care.
Yeah.
Let's see. Anything else?
Um, I don't like dessert.
Oh, okay. I don't like dessert. Okay. All right. Let me make sure. Do you like ice cream or frozen yogurt better? What is your favorite flavor? Do you like ice cream plain or do you like toppings? Okay, cool. All right. Does it look good?
Yeah, looks good to me.
Cool. Make sure ice cream. Okay.
Oh, wait, I think you wrote desert.
Oh,
I don't like desert.
is that right? Is it two S's?
Yes.
Dessert is two. Okay, I thought it was the other way around. Okay, so that's right. Dessert. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. There we go. Cool. All right, we can come back to that and see what kind of response we get. And also what I can do so people know, I'm going to copy this right now and I'm going to add this to the feed, the chat on the right side of the screen so people can take part in this as well. There we go. So in the chat section, you will see a link should be popping up. If it's not there soon, it'll be there in a couple of seconds. The link to the poll that we're just doing there. So, all
I
right.
see it. I see it.
All right. So the movie we're talking about this week is The Cutting Edge from 1992.
So good. So good. I was just telling you before, I just watched it again right before we hopped on here because it's just so good.
No, I don't know how to pronounce the, for those who have not seen the movie, what is the, what is the classification? Romance? Is that the right term? Romance
Yeah,
or
I would say it's a romance. Mhm.
romantic comedy, maybe? I was trying to, because I don't know if the comedy really counts for this one. So I guess so, but there are some funny parts into it. But for those who that have seen the TV show Lost, the father in this movie is played by Terry O'Quinn, and Terry O'Quinn made his name with the TV show Lost. Up until then, he was not really that well known. So it's kind of funny to watch a movie that has somebody who's famous for something else in it. But a lot of people would probably be watching this, throwing in a lot of Lost quotes or something. So, um, but also in the movie, he has a lot more hair than he does in the TV show. In the TV show, he was shaved bald completely.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't realize that he was in Lost because I like I told you before, I didn't watch Lost. So now it makes sense that we were talking about it after watching The Cutting Edge.
Uh, there's also a line now. It's a romance about what we can before we go too far. I do want to say that there's also the woman that's in this. Her name is it Moria Kelly?
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce it. I guess I would say Moira. I don't know.
There it is. I can bring it up over here. I'll bring it up on the screen. There's a line in the movie where she yells out loud, "Nobody tells me what I can't do," or something like that. I don't remember exactly how she words it, but I started laughing really hard only because in the movie the Terry O'Quinn plays her father, and in the TV show Lost, people would get this if they watched Lost. That was a common line that Terry O'Quinn would say in the TV show Lost. So it was almost like father like daughter for a second there. It's like an inside joke of sorts. In the show, he was constantly screaming out loud when people told him, "You can't do that." He said, "Nobody can tell me what I can't do."
That's so funny.
So, but Mora, I guess it's Mora, Moira Kelly. Okay. All right. So I watched an interview with her, and this is something I wanted to tell you. I told you before we started our show, I wanted to hold this until we went live. She was being interviewed by somebody, I forget who it was, might have been Oprah or somebody famous. Um, she was asked where she was from, and she said she's from Ronkonkoma, New York. And are you familiar with Ronkonkoma?
I mean, I've heard it, but I don't know exactly where it is.
Okay, it's on Long Island. It's about midway across the island itself. So if you were to draw a look at Long Island, you look right in the middle of the island. That's where Ronkonkoma is, basically. So, and the reason I ask is because I told you that I used to go when I visited my grandparents. They lived in Ronkonkoma, and it's not a big deal to me. But if my dad were anytime my dad hears Ronkonkoma mentioned anywhere, he gets all excited because somebody mentioned his hometown. And if he heard her say that, he'd be all excited because, oh my goodness, they said Ronkonkoma. He'd be all excited just to hear that.
That's so cute. I was actually going to ask you if that was the part of Long Island that your grandparents were from.
Yeah. So it was just kind of, I just thought I'd bring that in there. For those who are familiar with Long Island, that you might have heard of it. Anyway, it's getting back to the movie itself. Let me see, bring this up here. Here we go. So it's basically a story between two skaters. One is played by DB Sweeney. His character's name is Doug, and the other is Maria. I keep on pronouncing her name wrong, I'm sure. Her character's name is Kate, and she's a stuck-up, snotty little brat, I guess you could call her, at the very beginning of the movie. And Doug is a working class stiff kind of guy, I guess you could say, was a professional. Was he professional hockey? He was playing hockey. Was he at the professional level? I forget.
Yeah, I think so. I think he was well, he said he was playing in college, but I thought he was like playing on his way to the Olympics.
Okay. Wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if it was like a professional league or like a second, like a level down or something. So, okay.
Mhm.
But yeah, I guess it doesn't really matter. But basically, at the very beginning, he gets an eye injury, which causes him he can't play at the hockey anymore. And she Kate character, she's so stuck up and snooty that she can't work with any of the other skaters that she's with. She has a very hard time dealing with or getting along with people. So they're paired together. And of course, the movie is basically the two opposites attract. And as the movie goes along, they eventually slowly fall for each other. And at the very end, they're completely in love with each other. And as the story progresses, I got to say, I was watching some of the, reading some comments on where the movie, it's actually on YouTube right now, but you have to pay to watch it. But in the movie, in the comments, someone actually commented that the character of development in this is really good. It's not like some movies where they fall in love at the beginning of the movie and by the very end, you're like, wait a minute, this movie is only 2 hours long. How did they fall in love so quickly? It doesn't make any sense. This one takes course over at least a year and a half, I think. So it makes more sense as to why they're falling in love at the rate that they do. And it's the development is really done well, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it was actually, you're right. It's between a year and a half and 2 years because they finally like make it to the Olympics, and then at the end, Kate actually says something about it being 2 years, like that she thanks him for doing all the work for the last 2 years.
Hmm.
Mhm. So yeah, it
And
does. It does. The timeline works a lot better, especially than the movie that we watched 2 weeks ago. The timeline makes a lot more sense because the other one was like a week or something, right?
yeah, yeah, the defending your life. Yeah, they fall in love within like a couple of days, and they're madly in love with each other. Like that makes any sense. Um, but yeah, and this one, it's not in as the story progresses. They really, well, she really hates him. He doesn't really outright hate her. He just finds her annoying, I guess you could say. Is that I think
Right.
that's the best way to put it. And she slowly, as she's cocky and arrogant and stuck up and snooty, and she's better than him. And she keeps on giving these insults like, "Did you shower today?" and stuff like that. And it's as it goes along, you can tell that she generally starts to respect him, and by the as the movie progresses, like I forget, there's a couple of scenes with another character, there's a random character that comes in and says, "I can't believe you're doing this with a hockey player," and she actually stands up and defends him outright. This is later on in the movie, of course, not near the beginning. And you can tell that she actually respects him wholeheartedly by the end, and doesn't that her whole attitude has completely changed about how she feels about him. Not only is she starting to fall for him, but she also respects him as a professional skater.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it was actually the character. I think was her old coach.
Oh, is that what that was?
I think it was him because in the beginning he says to her, "I want to see your butt in the air." And she says, "The only way you're gonna see my butt in the air is this way." And she like flips her skirt and shows him her butt. So funny.
I was trying because I didn't know who that was, and I was just trying to figure out what that was about.
Mm.
Was he at the beginning? So you're saying he was actually there at the beginning?
I think he was in like the first scene of the
Oh,
movie.
okay, okay, I didn't know that. All right, um, that's interesting. Um, as the and as far as Doug's character goes, his development, he can't he does he first he's scoffing at the idea of doing skating, figure skating, that is. He the idea he's afraid to tell his family. His family is, he's because he knows they're gonna ridicule friends and family because he has a lot of the one. Okay, the one thing I gotta say before I get too far with his character, every time he's near a woman, he's always kissing. The women are kissing him all over. How is this guy able to get these women to kiss him all like that? What is it? I mean, that's the one thing about this movie that's completely unbelievable. I don't think any guy would be able to get every single woman. Did you notice that?
Yeah, I noticed that there were multiple women in one scene kissing him.
Yeah.
Really weird. I was like, who's like that? That's not real. That's not reality. It was so weird. Because one of the scenes, it was a New Year's Eve party, and like multiple women were kissing him on the lips at the
Yeah.
same time, like one after the other. It was so weird. And then he went home to go visit his family after spending, I think, a few months with her training. He comes back and he goes into the bar, and multiple women are kissing him on the mouth.
Yeah. I was like,
So weird.
it's like, I'm like, that's like a guy's dream come true in some places. I mean, I mean, it was just so bizarre. I was like, "Wait, what is going on with this?" But, aside from that, the movie itself did seem pretty believable. It was laid out pretty well. His character development and the 2 of them, growing and liking each other and finally having an actual respect and, eventually falling in love felt very believable, aside from that stuff. But, he like I said earlier when I was before I changed the subject, he didn't wanna tell his family and friends that he was doing figure skating, so he kept it from them. He originally he was brought in, Kate says she doesn't want him, so he was gonna leave, and Kate's father says, pay he was gonna pay him to be there, and there's a scene where the dad is writing a check, and he says, "How about we'll do double or nothing?" This scene right here. Here it is right here. Um, he goes, "Let's do double or nothing," and then the father says, "You're on," and that's when he decides he's gonna try to do the figure skating after all. So, and his growth, I think, was really good. You could tell he didn't understand figure skating as the movie progressed. He understood it. He had a greater appreciation of it, a greater appreciation of I can't say the word appreciation of what it was about. And by the end of the movie, he's so far into it that when they actually lose one of or they don't win someone gets a higher score than it, he's like just going ballistically mad because how can we do this? How come we didn't get that score? How come they won or something? You can tell he's really, really into this now.
Yeah, absolutely. He says, I don't remember. He threw something. I don't know if it was oh, he threw the flowers. He got so angry. Yeah,
Okay.
he was like, how do they even call this a sport? This isn't a sport.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was the vast majority of the movie it comes across as very well written to the point where you're like, even if you're ignoring the romance part of it, the progression of the two main characters really feels authentic. It feels like something that would happen. They realize at the beginning they're one way, and by the end of the movie they're another way on the beliefs that they have about certain things. And by the end, they're like, you really believe that they have changed, and they do believe, they have done an actual transition that feels very plausible, and what they and how they. I'm trying to word it right, but I think that's right.
Yeah, absolutely. You're just saying that it was very believable. And it was supported by strong writing, exactly what you're saying. I love how the movie actually, like, sometimes movies like this, they don't show you the competitions. They'll just show you like them winning or something or excited afterwards. But with these, you actually get to see the skating, which was part of the joy of this movie, I think.
Hmm.
Part of
Okay.
the fun.
Are you into figure skating? I can tell you I'm not really. It's not for me. It's not something I'm really interested in. But
Mhm.
because it's probably because I knew it was there. I just didn't catch that.
Mhm. Yeah, growing up, my mother was very into figure skating, so we used to watch it. We used to watch the Olympics. We always watched the figure skating. So maybe and that's probably some of it. And also growing up, my mother's best friend's son. So like basically my best friend growing up, he played hockey. So this movie was like the perfect. I remember when I was younger watching this movie, and like everybody loved this movie. So it was like the perfect marriage of the figure skater and the hockey player. So like the brute and the beauty.
No, I gotta say, watching this movie, for me, it's the exact opposite. In fact, I don't think I've ever discussed this with any family member ever. That's kind of funny. My dad, my mother, my sister. I don't think I've ever. Maybe my sister once, but not any kind of detail. Um, that's funny that with your family, it's the exact opposite. Everyone liked it. It's basically for me, it's just like I guess, a personal little pleasure of my own. I guess you could say. So. Um,
Yeah, my whole family loves this movie.
the characters though, the two main characters, I usually for a movie, sometimes I want to relate to them in some way. As far as the personalities, I don't relate to either one of them really. But it doesn't matter for me because the movie itself, they were so well written, it didn't matter for that part of it. Like I definitely don't relate to Kate, the stuck up, snooty attitude that she had. And as far as Doug was concerned, uh, I mean, I'm not a, I wouldn't say like he had more of a working class attitude. I mean, technically, I did have the working class thing when I used to work on cars, but I didn't have that kind of same attitude that he had because I was trying to get out of that at the time. So I was trying to get into more of a, more into radio and things like that. So it was a little different for me. I couldn't fully relate to him, but if I had to pick one, it would be more him than her. But for the most part, it didn't really matter to me because the characters were just believable and just done so well. I didn't have to relate to them. Sometimes I have to relate. I feel like I need to relate to them, but I didn't have to in this movie.
That's an interesting point that you just made, because I feel like that too. Like I sometimes in a movie, like I see myself in the characters, and in these, I definitely did not. But
Mhm.
I think that it is like it's such a well written love story that like you get lost in it.
Mhm.
You know, it's like you're rooting for them the whole time, like personally as well as professionally. Like I feel like I personally wanted them to win so badly, but I also wanted them to win at love.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And now as far as the actual figure skating part of it, so you said you watched it. Did you actually watch it on a regular basis?
Figure skating?
Yeah. Was it a
No,
regular?
when I was younger, I did. Yeah, not as an adult. No, I definitely grew out of it. But my mother, because I guess because we kind of watched TV as a family when I was younger. My mother loved figure skating, so we would always watch the competitions.
Okay. I was wondering how the scoring worked on that. I didn't understand the scoring aspect. That's why. So,
Yeah, it's out of six.
okay. Okay. And then there was like that one part where they got a lower score and they were like the announcers were, basically giving the exposition as to why, that's not what you're seeing on the performance is not what the judges are seeing or something to that effect. And I didn't understand what they meant by that. I guess the judges were supposedly seeing something that were making their votes on something else that they didn't describe what it was. They just kind of left it up in the air. So.
Yeah, that was a little confusing. I thought maybe they didn't like the chemistry between them, or maybe something was missing between them. But I don't know. I feel like when I would watch figure skating competitions, sometimes it would be like that, where we as like the viewing public would really enjoy it, but maybe something technically was lacking.
Hmm.
Maybe like they were so nitpicky with like the way the placement of the hands and the placement of your feet. So it could have been something small.
Ah, gotcha. Okay. Okay. Okay, that would make sense. It's I'm one of the things I hate in a movie, and this movie did not do this, but it getting they was with the judges aspect, it was getting kind of close to this. Is when a movie, and usually if you know the name J.J. Abrams, he's notorious for doing this. He'll purposely leave things out of a movie to let you fill in the gaps on your own, and I hate when they do that because afterwards I'm like trying to figure out what happened in the movie, and I'm like, you watch a movie and it's like there's nothing. They leave something open and they don't explain why it is, so that you fill in those missing gaps, almost like what they call head canon. Like you create your own story in your head to fill in why something is a certain way. And when the judges start doing that, it started to get in that realm, but not really. It didn't really. So the movie itself does not have that, does not suffer from that at all, really. It just kind of started to go in that direction, but but it was just a minor thing as far as the scoring part. That's all. So.
Hmm. Yeah, I hate those. I hate that too. I feel like when they don't give you a complete scenario, it doesn't close the movie for me. It drives me crazy.
Yeah, yeah. And unfortunately, like J.J. Abrams movies are very notorious for that, and I've gotten to a point where I don't even want to watch his movies anymore because of that. So they
Hmm.
lure people in. He has a technique he calls the mystery box, where people are lured into the mystery, but he never divulges the mystery, or sometimes he does, but he the through the whole movie, the course of the movie, he purposely leaves things vague, and it's like by the time you're done, it's like, wait a minute, this is just I feel like I wasted my time watching this, So this movie is definitely does not fall into that. Everything flows very well. The story, at the very beginning, we kind of left this out. Kate is actually engaged to someone else, and you feel that the engagement almost felt like it was just superficial. Like they didn't really they kind of liked each other, but it was almost like maybe it was forced upon them, and maybe they just reluctantly were doing it because she fell for Doug and she moved on. But that I will say the fiance did feel a little like maybe I don't know, maybe it was the acting. It didn't feel like he really felt for. He didn't really seem to like her that much. I don't know. Like he wasn't really deeply in love with her, I guess is the right word.
Yeah, it didn't feel like a true romance, and it was so weird too because he's the one that said to her, "Oh, I think you're in love with Doug." It
Right.
was so weird.
Yeah. It's like he said, yeah, she said something like, we're always arguing all the time and we would never get along. And then he bumps in and says, yeah, foreplay.
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, you have feelings for him." She's
Yeah.
like, "What? No, not at all."
Yeah.
So
Uh,
weird.
oh, here's these kissing scenes right here. I don't want to play the, yeah, where he's going around kissing all the women.
Yeah, kissing all the women at the New Year's party.
I was like, yeah, okay, that was like I said, that was the only thing that was really unbelievable about this was that part. Okay, so this is part of the movie where he comes in to his brother. His brother, he told his brother he was working, I think for the he was had been working for the Merchant Marines or something like that, and he comes in and says, "No, I've been doing some skating." And I guess this is a very small town because the whole town, I guess, is crowded into this bar, and they all want to know what's going on for some reason. Everybody seems excited to see him. The women are all kissing him again, um, and that's when he announces that he's doing some figure skating. And I think one of the older people said, "What do you say? Some finger painting?" And
Yes.
and that's when like they're all just his brother is like disgusted with him at first. And he says, he takes him aside, says that you'll just be a few years from now, you'll just be doing one of those ice capades things where you'll be doing like that. And uh, you can tell like Doug is like, really into it. He was really embarrassed by it at first, but then as the movie progresses, they don't really have much development with it. You just see that first his brother is disgusted by it, but then by the end he's fully supporting his brother. So which is really nice. But there's no development there. It's just he's kind of disgusted by it, but then as they go on, it's he just accepts it and stands by his brother. So
Mhm. And then you see him at the end, like, so sweet, rooting for everybody at the bars, rooting for them in the Olympics. So cute.
oh yeah. Oh, there's like this is that that's the guy right there I was talking about right there.
Yeah, I think he was, if you go all the way back to the beginning, he might have been, I think he was the judge in the beginning. And not
Oh,
the judge, the coach. Unless I
okay.
could be making it up too. I could be remembering him to somebody else.
Okay. Oh, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. It's not. We don't have to focus on that. I probably missed something, and it's just not. I was just always when he walks in there. I'm just who is this guy, and you can tell. It's not a big deal. It's just obviously they know each other. I'm just kind of curious as to who he was. That's all. So the I'm trying to jump ahead to the oh this is the scene. Yeah. Yeah, this is the scene where he tells that he loves her.
Yeah, look at
And
that face she has on.
yeah. um I will say this, they got into an argument before and they were like really they didn't want to talk to each other. For two people that were supposed to be in love with each other, I did find it kind of odd when they're practicing. She falls down and gets hurt several times during the practice. You would think that during that time that maybe that's when they would probably make up and become more closer, not when they're actually doing the final competition. You know what I'm saying? Like they got into the serious argument. They weren't talking to each other, but they were working together. And she kept falling down and getting hurt several times. And I would think that he would rush over to help her out if he really cares for her that much. And that at that point, that during that time, that's when they would probably make up and become more in love, not at the final moment. I think they purposely held that off so that it was more so that the final love scene where they tell each other, who that they how they feel about each other would be at the same moment where the whole world is seeing them at the same time.
Yeah, they left it for dramatic effect, I guess.
Yeah,
Because I agree with you. I didn't think it was like the optimal time for them to actually open up and make up and say I'm in love with you. You would have thought it would have been a lot earlier.
yeah, yeah. Especially like I said, all the time she was falling on her butt, getting hurt, and did she hit her head one time too? I forget when he's like spinning her around, and you would think that is this it? No, that's the competition. um, that he would be there. Maybe I'm putting myself into there. I would be running up to her to make sure she was okay. That's my first thing. If she's hurt, I would say, "Are you okay?" I'd walk up to her, and that point, I think they would try to warm. They would probably be warming up more to each other.
Mhm.
So well, let's see. Was there anything else in the movie that really stood out for you, or did you want to talk about?
No, I thought it was there was a point where it was like that one scene with Toe Pick. It was so funny where
Oh,
she just kept making him fall. And then like you can see how their love story develops so early, because right where you just passed was when they were in the emergency room when she hits him with the puck in the
yeah.
face.
It
It was
was
so
like a
funny because then he made fun. Then he teased her and she got all nervous and he went toe pick. It was so
yeah.
funny.
Yeah. Yeah, for those who are not no don't know what we're talking about. Basically, the on the ice skates, there's a the figure skating skates. There's this little area. I guess it's called a toe pick. Is that what it's called? The
Yeah, she called it toe pick. Yeah, it's the front.
Yeah, and I don't know what that's for exactly, but apparently I guess it's maybe to help you stop quickly or something. And he wasn't used to them being on there because on hockey skates they don't have them. So he asked, "What is this?" And he keeps on tripping over them because he's not used to he's not used to having them on his skates. And every time she would tease him, every time he fell over or tripped, and she go toe pick. And so finally he gets hurt because they're playing hockey. They're playing a little game of hockey with each other, and she hits him in the face, and that's why he's in the hospital like this. And then he comes back out and says, "Yeah," and pulls it off and says, "Toe pick."
Yeah, because he finally got her. He was teasing her back.
Yeah, there we go.
He was
I don't know.
she was so worried about him.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I assume I'm pretty much sure of this that you would definitely recommend this for everyone else, for other people.
Oh, definitely. I have numerous times recommended this movie. My husband actually was hanging out with me this evening, and I was like, "Oh, please watch it with me again. Please watch it with me again." He didn't, but I watched it again.
Now I want to say, getting slightly off topic a little, the what's her name, Maura Kelly. She was in another movie with oh, I forget. Actually, now I was trying to find it earlier. I think it came out around the same time. Um, can't remember what it was called. Oh, I think this is it. With honors, I think Joe Pesci. Can't say his name. Yeah, this is it right here. Yeah, it came out like a couple years later. I saw her in this one, and I watched this movie. And I was amazed. I didn't even recognize her because her character. She was so good in this one. She was not the pompous, stuck up little, snotty little whatever you want to call her in the Cutting Edge. She was so radically different that I didn't even know it was her. When I was watching this movie, it was so funny. I was like, "Oh, that's her." And I was like, I looked up in the credits. I didn't even recognize her. She was one of the main characters in the movie. I didn't even recognize her from the Cutting Edge. So, um, her character is just so radically different. Unfortunately, in this one, she doesn't stand out. In fact, her character is so withdrawn compared to the character in the Cutting Edge. It doesn't even really stand out that much. But it's just it goes to show that how much of it. I think she's a very talented actress. And it's always, in my opinion, when you watch somebody, you don't even realize it's the same person, and you see them in another performance, you go, "Wow, that's like, yeah." I really think that shows that they are really talented in what they do. So
Yeah, I agree. I love when actors do that. Mhm.
the with honors is Joe Pesci. In case you're wondering, he's a homeless person, and her character, as well as a few of her friends, they want to take care. They basically come around and support him. She's a very caring and giving person in that movie, the character she plays. And I think he's a homeless person. I don't remember. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but it's basically trying to show how much they care about this guy. I don't know why. I can't. All I know is he was homeless and they cared for him, and the story progresses from there. It was a good movie. I just don't. I haven't seen it in so long. I can't really. I should probably shut up right now because I don't remember the rest of it.
Oh, you're fine. Don't worry about it. I get the gist of it.
Yeah. I would definitely recommend it. I don't remember disliking it. I remember liking it, but it's been so long. I don't remember what the basic story was. All I remember is they were trying to help him. So, All right. So as far as a rating, what would you give The Cutting Edge?
Out a 10 out of 10.
10 out
11,
of 10.
11 out of 10.
Oh my goodness. Going to the going up to the what's that movie? Oh goodness, what's it? I was just talking about this the other day. Spinal Tap. This is Spinal Tap. Where they you ever seen This is Spinal Tap?
Like so long ago that I don't even remember it.
Okay, there's a scene where they look at the volume knob on there and it goes up to 11 versus 10. So you're giving it the Spinal Tap rating scale there.
Yep. 11 out of 11. It's great.
I would say I wouldn't give it that high. I would probably give it like maybe an 8.5. So.
That's fair. That's a good round number. I probably went so high because I have so many wonderful memories of like watching hockey and figure skating as a child. So that movie just warms a whole nother part of my heart. But I would agree, it's probably closer to like an 8.5.
So as far as when you saw this, when you first saw it, how were you a child when you first saw this?
Yeah, when it came out, I was like, how old was I? Like 10?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
There's a thing, and I'm sure you've probably heard this, when people see something, I don't know if it's the same for you. I'm not trying to imply it either, but when someone sees something when they're a child, they tend to latch onto it and have a stronger feeling toward it even when they're an adult, even if the movie is bad, they'll still tend to like it because they saw it when they were a child. So
Probably. That's probably accurate when it comes to this movie for me. A little bit. Amanda's a little bit biased.
I know there's some movies like that where I've seen when I was younger, and I watch those movies nowadays. I'm like, yeah, I would never watch that nowadays, but I still like it because I liked it when I was a kid. So, but
Yeah,
I was
definitely.
already that was definitely much. I was already in my 20s, probably like mid 20s when I saw this for the first time. So I think I saw it first time on cable TV. Probably it's one of those things where there's nothing else on and there's no internet at the time. So I was like, okay, I'll just turn on the movie and watch it. And I got hooked on it. I definitely got hooked on it. I always liked it. Never forgot what it was from the first time I saw it. Never once hated the movie. And the reason I bring that up because sometimes there are movies I'll watch for the first time and I can't stand them, but then I'll give it a second viewing and I'll actually come back and actually like it a lot more. In fact, some movies I actually hated when I first saw them, I actually really like a lot. Like so I'll really hate it, but then I'll go back and like, oh, I really like it now. It's at the same level as this one is what I'm getting at. So,
Hmm.
but this movie was not like that. This one was something I liked from the very beginning. So it wasn't like something I hated. It was just something it was like I liked and I've always liked it. I never forgot about it. Now, as far as romance movies, the funny part is I'm not usually a fan of romance movies. So this is kind of an oddity for me to actually say I like a romance movie. Are you a big fan of romance movies? I think you said you were.
Oh yeah, definitely. Hmm.
Were there any other movies that you would put at this level as far as like the same kind of like romance movies?
Well, I loved my favorite romance movie that I can actually watch over and over again. And it's very hard for me. Like, it's very rare that I will watch a movie over and over again. Is the movie Serendipity. Did you ever see it?
No, no, I've heard of it. I've not actually seen it. Is it? But would you? How would you equate it to this movie?
I don't know. I think I have such a tie to this movie because I have such wonderful memories of it. But I think I would. Oh, I don't know. I'd say Serendipity. You know what? Serendipity is probably a little better.
Oh, really? Oh, so we have to give it a new scale, maybe a 12.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess so. 11 and a half. But Serendipity is one of those movies too where parts of like the love story aren't that believable. Whereas the cutting edge it's more believable because it's a longer stretch of time.
Hmm. When did Serendipity come out? How long? It sounds is that's more recent, isn't it?
Yeah, probably 2000s.
Okay. I, I may have said this, and forgive me if I'm repeating myself here, but there's a period in my life where I don't know a lot of movies. It usually goes from 1997 to about 2013. And what happened was I was concentrating so much on my career that I didn't focus on movies. So there's a lot of movies during that time frame where like people will throw it in there. Maybe I've heard of it, but or sometimes people will throw a movie and they'll say, I've never even heard of it. And they'll go, you've never heard of such and such movie? It's like, yeah, I just wasn't really paying attention to movies at that time. So this is probably one of those movies I've definitely heard of it, but I've just never seen it. So
Yeah, 2001. So
oh,
yeah.
okay,
Mhm.
okay, okay. The all right. So that as far as so I guess I'm not. We don't have to go about talking about other romance movies. Actually, I'm just looking at this right now. IMDb refers to this as a comedy and a drama, but they put the word comedy first. I don't think that's right. I wouldn't put comedy first. I could see maybe a drama, but they don't even put the word romance in there. If you look at the very top here, but comedy and drama first. I don't know. I mean, it definitely, I could see the word comedy being in there, but drama, maybe romance, drama, then comedy, but they don't even have the word romance in there. Maybe that's not a category for them. So,
Interesting.
so getting back to the other part, as far as, um, it, as far as romance movies, would you put this one? This one I assume would be at the top or with close to Serendipity, is what you're saying, right? It wouldn't. Are there any others that would be close to this?
I don't think so.
Okay. Okay. I'm trying to think if I've seen any other romance movies. To be honest, I don't know. I've watched movies where there's a romance story element to it, which was kind of nice. And you'll laugh at me when I say this one, the movie Joe Dirt with David Spade. You ever seen that movie?
Yeah, that's an oldie but goodie. Yeah.
Because the two of them fall in love at the end, so there is a little bit of a romance story in that one. So, um, and by the way, I would definitely recommend never watching the sequel to that movie. It was awful. The sequel was I was so let down when I watched the sequel to that one. I would if you like the first one, don't watch the second one. I don't recommend it. So
To Joe Dirt, you're
yeah,
talking about?
yeah, Joe Dirt. Yeah. I think the problem was that the director who was in the first movie, she did not direct the second one. I think that she did a great job of the first movie, and I think the problem was she did not because she wasn't there for the second movie. They got a different director. It just didn't flow right. It was just not done very well. Same writers, David Spade and the guy I can't forget the other guy who wrote it with him. But the same writers, just a different director. It was very obviously not the same story. It was just so weak and anyway, we're getting off there. I don't recommend it. I just don't recommend it. So
Good to know.
yeah, I'm trying to honestly, I can't think of any other. I guess in a way, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies from 2002 and 2004 with Mary Jane and Peter Parker. That's kind of the romance that they had in those. I like those. Have you ever seen the Spider-Man movies?
Yeah, that is a beautiful romance.
The only
Mhm.
problem I have with Mary Jane is when she falls in love with Peter Parker. The first movie is done brilliantly. I love at the very end where she tells him she loves him and everything. The second movie, though, is it this? I think it's the second movie. She starts teasing him and saying, "I'm going out with someone else now," and it's like, "Oh, okay, so you really love him that much? You're going to go with someone else?" I mean, come on. And that kind of detracted from it a little, but I still liked it. Um, it just and the third movie was like, ugh, I don't even like the third movie. I don't want to talk about that one. But I did. But aside, if you can overlook the idea that she kept on trying to tease him with, I got someone else lined up right now. The romance was done very well in those the first two movies. So,
Mhm. That's that the upside down kiss that everybody talks about,
oh
right?
yeah,
When she
yes, uh
pulls
huh,
him down. Mhm.
yeah. So, alrighty. Well, let's go back. Oh, yeah, let's go ahead and bring our question back up from the beginning of the show. I was just looking at that a second ago. We got big, a big push there for ice cream. 88%.
Whoa.
Do you like ice cream or frozen yogurt better? 86% out of 70 votes so far. 9% with I don't like dessert. 4% with I don't care, and only 1% with frozen yogurt. Oopsie.
I'm in my own class here. No,
No,
nobody's with me.
I like I said, I would definitely try frozen yogurt, but not from the supermarket. Like I have a feeling that the stuff I chose was just really bad. Also, I'm on a really restricted diet, so I'd have a hard time even trying regular ice cream nowadays. I'm very. Even though I love ice cream, I'm not allowed to eat certain foods right now. That includes ice cream, unfortunately. So I probably
Mhm.
wouldn't even be able to try it anymore. So, but if I could, I would definitely give you frozen yogurt a try. if it was like, say, like you were saying, like maybe from an ice cream parlor or something, or something of specialized, a place that specializes in frozen yogurt. So
Definitely.
let's see, we got Sandeep Mohan R, regular. As I said earlier, regular contributor says, of course, I like ice cream, butterscotch, and vanilla flavor. I don't like frozen yogurt, thumbs down, and I don't like chocolate flavor ice cream. Oh, okay. Doesn't like, so he didn't, so he put at the beginning he likes butterscotch. Butterscotch and vanilla. Does that mean, I wonder if he means butterscotch and vanilla put together, or maybe he just likes different flavors. I've never tried a butterscotch flavor ice cream. Have you ever tried that before?
No, I like butterscotch candies, but I've never had
Yeah.
butterscotch ice cream.
Yeah. Oh,
Hmm.
that's another thing. Sometimes it was kind of annoying if I tried a Ben and Jerry's ice cream, like when I worked at that place I told you about, Radio America. Sometimes I would get a Ben and Jerry's, and I wasn't familiar with it, and it would have little surprises in the ice cream that I didn't like. I like little candies or something. I was like, I don't like this. So
Yeah, Ben and Jerry's is famous for having pieces in there.
yeah, yeah. And sometimes I'd like it, like the one what was that? The chocolate chunk New York City one. That was fine. That was fine. But other ones, it would be like something in there. I was like, this didn't mix right with me. I didn't like it. So I would make sure not to buy that one again, whatever it was. Nothing's coming to mind because there's so many different varieties they had. So,
Hmm.
and
Sometimes the Ben and Jerry's has too big of pieces of candy, and I'm
yes.
like, I want more ice cream. Not enough ice cream in there.
The other thing I think, probably, well, it was, I don't think it was Ben and Jerry's, was the drugstore I bought it from was often a little too cold. So I couldn't eat the ice cream. It was almost like eating a block of ice. So I had to let it kind of melt a little bit before I could start to eat it. So
And then when you really want your ice cream, that's annoying.
yeah. And so far we LMAO. So okay, that's all we got so far. Okay, well we can come back to next week and see what kind of responses we get. So everyone, thank you for participating in our poll, and we appreciate that. Did you have anything else you'd like to say before we wrap everything up?
No, just thank you so much. This was such a fun night. Great to learn all about the ice cream.
Yeah.
Everybody loves ice cream, apparently.
Yeah. And you're in that very small minority, at least with my listen, our viewers, I should say. I did not expect frozen yogurt to get so low. Um, what was Oh, it's, yeah. There's I'll get I'm think there's a I'm getting off topic here, and you're not going to know what I'm talking about. But on the TV show Lost, again, I'm bringing that up again. There was a character on there that they called Frogurt or something, and it had something to do with frozen yogurt and ice cream. They gave him that weird nickname, and I forget what it was. I wish I knew what it was. Maybe someone can put that in the comments. We can talk about it next time or something. So, but
Okay, cool.
cool. Alrighty. Well, thanks everyone, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.